Hello everybody, Rory Hoffman here with an audio-only presentation this time for my YouTube channel, so just think of it as a podcast, but on a YouTube channel. I'm doing it this way for a few reasons. I am in my studio, my second bedroom, which I have converted into my recording studio, and I'm sitting in front of a triple-tier keyboard stand with my Native Instruments controller on the bottom, and then my Roland XP80 above that, and a little Yamaha MX49 above that. And this keyboard stand is pushed right up against a wall, and then I have a microphone in front of me which I'm speaking into, and I'm wearing headphones, and I just don't really have a good thing to put my phone camera on so I can actually get it where you can see what's going on, the way my keyboards are up against the wall and stuff. And I'm demoing a piece of software today, and I don't have a screen capture program on my studio computer because I don't use the screen for anything anyway, really. And so I just have not bothered to set up any kind of thing that will capture the screen. So you guys will get to experience how I do stuff. And so I thought maybe some of my sighted subscribers might be interested to know how a blind person runs a computer and navigates software. And so you'll hear my computer talk to me as we go, because I figured my blind musician friends who listen to this will want to hear what I'm doing to make the program run and all that kind of stuff. So I'm demoing today the product, the Orchestra and the Orchestra Complete from Sonuscore. And I just recently purchased these, like within a week, so we might be learning together. But the fun thing about whenever you buy a new piece of software as a blind person is it accessible? Can we actually use this? And sometimes you don't know until somebody bites the bullet and purchases the software and sees, what we can do with it. And accessibility can mean many things. It can mean it is fully accessible, where pretty much everything that the software can do, we can access. Or accessibility can mean, if you're just happy loading presets and kind of using the basic bare bones of the program, you can do that. Or accessibility can mean it's not very accessible at all. The whole user interface is completely graphical, and so there's no text information for your screen reader to latch onto, so your computer doesn't talk to you at all inside the program, so don't even bother buying it. But I wasn't sure about the Orchestra Complete from Sonuscore because it says in the manual that it has NKS support, which is the Native Instruments Complete Control. Complete Control actually made a point of implementing accessibility, especially if you buy one of their Native Instruments keyboards, which I have. And so you can actually make some of these programs talk directly from the keyboard itself. The way it interfaces with your computer, you can twiddle knobs on the keyboard and your computer will tell you what you're twiddling. And so that's very nice. But even with that, how each individual manufacturer decides to implement the NKS support can vary. I wasn't sure what I was going to get with the Orchestra Complete and the Orchestra. Those are two different packages until I went and purchased them. So now that I know, I can impart that information to you. So here we go. The main reason I wanted Sonuscore's The Orchestra is because of its engine. It is the first, and I think there might be one other program that does something kind of similar now, but not the way Sonuscore does. The engine is instant gratification orchestral tool. So if you're writing orchestral music, you typically have to write out exactly what each instrument is going to play. What are the violins going to play? What are the cello going to play? What are the French horns going to play? What are the tubas going to play? It can take a long time to get anything that sounds musical because you're just creating everything one instrument at a time. Sonuscore has built in arpeggiators and envelope generators. You can pull up a sound and hit a key or two or three, and all of a sudden, a whole orchestra starts just playing along, and there's like pre-ordained parts that are already assigned. So it's a very quick way to get up and running with something. So let me just demonstrate that for you really quick. So I played all that in real time. So let's get into it a little bit. So the best way for blind people to use these contact libraries is through using Complete Control. And I will show you how I do that within Reaper, which is my DAW that I use to record. This is what I use to record overdubs for people when they send me a song and they want me to add a guitar part or an accordion part or whatever. I do it within Reaper.
Share your screenshots using Dropbox row 1 column 2.
Let me see. I don't want to be in
Unsaved project
Dropbox. No. Okay, here we are in Reaper.
One arm, 2 items.
And I've already got one track armed, and that's because that is what I'm talking to you on, is a track. So I'm going to just go ahead and
One arm, 2 items.
create another track.
Track name edit blank.
Track name, I don't care what it's called, so I'll just leave that blank.
2 0 items.
Okay, that's track 2. And I'm going to set the input MIDI to the Complete Control keyboard.
Track automatic input MIDI submenu. Mode 2 M series MIDI and sub complete control 1 submenu K.
Complete Control.
All channels A.
All channels.
Unsaved project PROJ1 to Reaper E6
There we go, and I'm going to load Complete Control as an effect.
Scanning add FX2 track 2 dialog filter. Combo box collab. List 1 list. VSTI complete control native instruments GmbH. FX track 2 dialog.
So some of you might understand some of what it's saying. I have it going kind of fast, but not extremely fast. Okay, now I'm actually going to need a few instances of this to demonstrate everything that I want to go over. So I'm just going to go ahead and duplicate this track. And there we go. So I should have tracks 2, 3, and 4 now.
1 arm, 2 items.
That's my audio track that I'm talking to you on.
2 0 items.
2,
3 0 items.
3,
4 0
and
items.
4. Okay, yep. So
2 0 items.
now that I have Complete Control loaded on 3 different tracks, I'm going to hit I was doing all this from the computer keyboard. Now I'm going to start hitting buttons on the actual Native Instruments S88 Mark II keyboard hardware. I'm going to hit the Browse button.
Browser.
And the voice changed because I just figured I'd have Reaper talk to me in a man's voice and I'd have Complete Control talk to me in a lady's voice. Why not? So now there's 8 knobs which we can use to scroll through and find what we're looking for. So the first knob says vendor, all vendors. So I can browse by vendor, or I can browse by
all
products,
type, all types,
all types,
character, all characters,
all characters,
preset, 01 basis core
or
articulation.
presets. So it's kind of like a hierarchy thing. So let me start with
vendor, all vendors,
vendor.
Native Instruments.
I turn the knob and it brings up my different
Audio Imperia.
vendors.
Best service.
Best service, that's what I want. That's who makes Sonuscore. Now I'm going to move to the next knob, which is the products.
The orchestra.
The orchestra.
The Orchestra Complete.
The Orchestra Complete. I have both of them. And the reason I have both of them is because the orchestra was on sale. You could get $100 off. The Orchestra Complete was not on sale. So if I wanted $100 off, I had to buy the orchestra and then buy the upgrade to the Orchestra Complete. So that was kind of a dumb way they made me jump through that hoop, but I saved $100 and got 2 different versions. I got the orchestra and the Orchestra Complete. The Orchestra Complete just has more sounds and a few more articulations and a few more of these built-in arpeggiated presets. Quite a few more, actually.
Preset.
So now I'm going to go through and
character, all characters,
choose character,
acoustic,
arpeggiated, that's what I want. Now if I change the preset knobs, I start to hear all these different presets. That's what a new life sounds like if I were to load it.
A magic dwells in every start.
A magic dwells in every start. Ooh, that's what that sounds like. Oh my. Got the choir going and everything in that one.
Preset, a decision has been made.
That one's called A Decision Has Been Made.
Ruthless enemy. Preset, ruthless enemy.
And of course, these are all just playing at 120 beats per minute right now because that's what my DAW is set to, but you could make these at any tempo because these are MIDI triggered phrases. These aren't pre-recorded phrases, so you're not going to get any time stretch weirdness. So let's just load this one.
Ruthless enemy.
Ruthless enemy.
Preset, a ruthless enemy.
I don't know who gets to name all these, but I wouldn't want that job to name 1,000 different presets. And so this one is apparently called A Ruthless Enemy. And I don't know why, because it doesn't sound that particularly ruthless to me, but it is not playing for me. So why is it not playing?
2 0 items.
Oh, probably because I haven't armed the track. Let's arm the track.
Armed.
There we go. Excellent. So now if I play a chord, I've got that arpeggio going. If I look at these 8 knobs now that I used to use to select the vendor and the preset and the product and all that, these knobs now do different things. What do they do?
Volume.
Volume.
Slot 1.
Slot 1.
Slot
2, 3.
Slot 3. Slot 4.
4.
Slot 5.
And 5. Okay, so I have the volume for all these different pieces that make up the sound. Now here's one accessibility problem. They just call it volume slot 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but it doesn't tell you what's on any of the slots. So I would like to see an upgrade to that so that if I would know if the harp is in slot 1 and the flutes are in slot 2 or whatever, because if I just hear slot 1, slot 2, I have no idea. So I'm going to just turn all these slots down.
Slot 3. Slot 4. Slot 5.
And then turn them up one by one and see what's on these slots. So here's slot 1. Okay, it's that piano. And I'm just holding down one key right now. If I hold down more keys, it'll make it more interesting.
Slot 1.
So that's what the piano is doing on slot 1. What do we got on slot 2? Ooh, the flutes, okay. What do we have on slot 3? The chugging along violas. What do we got on slot 4? We have a harp, okay. And so that means on slot 5 we must have our basses. So those are the 5 things that make up this sound. If I go to the next page.
Panning.
Ooh, panning. I can pan each of the things on these slots. So if I want to...
Panning. Slot 1. Slot
let's pan these flutes around just so you can hear.
Slot 3.
Yep. I can do the same thing to this piano.
Slot 1. Slot 2.
I don't have the piano very loud. Let me go back to volume, turn it up.
Panning. Panning. Slot 1.
There we go. See, so you can, now I have control of the pan on each of these. If I go to the next page,
Send and reverb.
Send and reverb. Okay, so I can adjust the reverb for all the slots. I don't need to go through and show you these. I just want to show you that this is what is available.
EQ and compressor.
EQ and compressor is on page 4. So now all these knobs will handle the EQ and compressor. All right, now let me show you this weird thing that I discovered about a difference between Orchestra Complete and the Orchestra. I have the identical patch loaded in the Orchestra and the Orchestra Complete because there's a lot of overlap. You know, not everything is new in the Orchestra Complete. There's a lot of overlap. So we'll start with Orchestra Complete. If I play this chord and then hold the sustain pedal down, but release my hands off the keys, I get... So my hands are off the keys and the sustain pedal is down. And it's just going through and playing the loop. If I go to the orchestra and do the same thing, it just, the sustains continue to be triggered, but the arpeggio stops. Now, I kind of like that because it gives me more flexibility. I just don't have to have the arpeggio going the whole time. So it gives me the ability to, you know, bring things in and out just by lifting up the keys. So I can go like... Now bring the arpeggio in. Now play some long notes again with maybe some staccatos built in. Now bring in the arpeggios. And so I can't do that on the Orchestra Complete because it latches the entire performance. I don't know if they did that on purpose, like if people were complaining, hey, when you hold the sustain pedal, all the arpeggios cut off, and it should just, the whole thing should stay running. And personally, I like it better when the whole thing doesn't stay running. Another accessibility problem for blind people is that we do not have any access to the arpeggiator or the envelope drawing. You would think that the arpeggiator we could like input via MIDI or something if they just made it accessible, but it seems to be a step sequencer, which I haven't even figured out a way to see if we have access to it, but I kind of doubt it, and I haven't been able to find it. So what that means is we can't change the rhythmic and dynamic content. We can change the notes, of course, by changing the notes we play on the keyboard, but the cello or the violas here are always going to go dugga 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 dugga. I can change what notes they play when they do that, but they're gonna do that. I can't go in and edit like sighted people could, so we are kind of stuck using the presets. And if we don't like what the violas are doing, we can just turn them off, I guess, but we can't change what they're playing, so that's unfortunate. So how can we add more variety into these arpeggios so they don't just start to sound stale after a few bars of them just doing the same thing over and over? Well, there are a few options, one of which is what I just showed you by stopping the arpeggios but keeping the sustains going. The other is by running the mod wheel. So on a lot of these presets, different things will happen as you bring up the mod wheel. So I loaded up one here. As I turn up the mod wheel, it's going to get more intense, and another instrument is going to come in. So that's one thing you can do. The other thing you can do is layer. So I put on another track
3 0 items.
a different one of these arpeggios that...
2 arm 0 items.
Let me turn off this
Arm.
one and
3
turn
0
on
items.
this
Arm.
one so you can hear what this one sounds like. This one goes like this. When the mod wheel is all the way down, it's very subtle. As I bring it up, more things are going to come in. Now I can mix those both together.
2 0 items. Arm.
Let's arm these
3 arm
both.
0 items. 2 arm 0 items.
Yeah, now we have. So just by layering two that seem pretty disparate, layer them together. And then another thing you can do, of course, is go into each one of them and change what the slots are doing. So let's go into this one and see where those da-da-da-da brass things are. Okay, I found them. So now I can keep the intensity pretty up, but bring in those da-da-da-da businesses in and out by turning these knobs in real time. Of course, I would turn off the speech on my computer if I was actually recording this, so you wouldn't hear it continually saying slot 4, slot 5.
Slot 1. Slot 5. Slot 1. Slot 5. Slot 1. Slot 5. Slot 5. Slot 1. Slot 5. Slot 1. Slot 5.
And that kind of stuff. So there's actually ways where, without pushing too many keys and just twiddling some knobs, you can get a lot of cool stuff to happen. So if I was like recording with this, I could like control all these very specifically and run the mod wheel as a separate pass on a different, you know, whatever. So we can actually do quite a bit with this. Now, one other thing I'd like to show that we can do before I wrap it up here is load yet another instance of this orchestra
40 items.
on track
40 items.
4, and I'm going to change the MIDI assign.
Context track automatic record arm input none input MIDI submenu Mode 2 M series MIDI and submenu.
I'm going to use the Mode 2 MIDI instead of the complete control MIDI.
All channels A. Unsaved project PROJ1 to
And I'm going to run the Mode 2 MIDI with my old XP80 synth with this, which is sitting right above me.
40 items.
And on this track, I am going to load a solo instrument.
Unsaved project PROJ1 to repeat 6.12 CX64 registered to Rory Hoffman.
Let's load the oboe.
40 items. Armed.
So now I have an oboe up here on my XP80. And I have all this down here, and I can go. Again, all in real time. And you could make it a lot better if you went in and edited all the MIDI notes and such to make it something you actually wanted to record. But yeah, this is pretty cool. All of a sudden, you're just playing a whole bunch of stuff, and you can do it in real time, and it sounds pretty darn cool. So even though everything is not accessible to us, I think there is enough accessible that I've been having a lot of fun with Sonuscore, Orchestra, and Orchestra Complete. So that's my demo for today, and I hope you guys found it interesting. And make sure to like and subscribe and comment and all those good things that you're supposed to do to YouTube channels that you enjoy. And I suppose I'll be back with the camera on for something next time, but I just wanted to get this software demo out there for my blind musician friends who might be, you know, curious about the orchestra like I was. Can we actually use it? Yes, we can. So, all right, that's it. Thanks, everybody. Bye.